Please give a round of applause for your president. Come on, you all can do better than that. Come on, wake up this morning. There we go.
Thank you, DJ Shay. We are so happy, DJ, that you are doing this. Last year, you were our DJ for our annual meeting on Zoom. And I think it's the only Zoom meeting that I've ever participated in because of your DJ playing that people stayed on for the meeting afterwards because the music was so good. So thank you, and thank you for waking us up with that audio caffeine. We really appreciate you, DJ Shay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Joe Simperman. I'm the president of Global Cleveland. And I just want to say something real quick. We actually, for the first time, I think, in the history of our 13-year-old organization, have all three chair people of Global Cleveland in the room at the same time. Mr. Baiju Shah, who is all in, the executive director, CEO, and president of GCB, who is our first board chairman. We love him. He stayed so involved with us, and we're so grateful to him for everything he does for our community. But Global Cleveland says he's ours. David Fleschler, who is our outgoing board chair, who we're going to be honoring shortly. David Fleschler, the vice provost of international students at Case Western. We're so grateful for his leadership. And our incoming board chairman, Joe Marinucci, who joined our board a few years ago. As you know, Joe started the Downtown Cleveland Alliance, and Joe's going to be ascending to the chairmanship today. Joe, thank you so much for taking on that role. So I gotta give a shout out for credits to. We're very fortunate today. I also want to let you know a few of the folks who are presenting, and in fact, one of our award winners. They're stuck on the Valley View Bridge right now. Some of you may know the 480 bridge is a little bit tricky, so people are going to be coming in, but there was a little bit of a mishap, so folks are going to be coming in, but we're really happy that you're all here. I'd like to call our annual meeting to order, and at this time I'd like to ask you to please give a warm welcome to somebody who's been a board member of ours from the very beginning of our organization. His organization was one of our initial sponsors. It's Medical Mutual. And if I could please ask all of us to welcome Global Cleveland board member, Mr. Norm Steiner, to open this meeting up to the stage. Norm?
Good morning and welcome to Global Cleveland's 2022 annual meeting. I'd like to introduce myself, and Joe did a great job, but I'm Norm Steiner. I'm the Vice President of Major Accounts and Strategy with Medical Mutual, and I've also been a long-standing member and participant on the board for Global Cleveland. I'm excited to be here this morning to be able to kick off Global Cleveland's annual meeting, where you'll not only hear about some of the incredible work that's being done by the team over the last couple of years, but we're also here to honor and recognize some amazing community leaders who help change our region for the better by welcoming and supporting international newcomers. Global Cleveland was established in 2011 by a group of passionate people and organizations that understand the value of attracting, welcoming, and connecting international newcomers to Cleveland and Cuyahoga County. From representing global crisis to establishing workforce connections, Global Cleveland has worked to transform our city into a truly welcoming place of shared prosperity and economic growth. As a presenting sponsor, Medical Mutual is a proud supporter of Global Cleveland and the work that the team does every day to become the most welcoming city in America. We also recognize that the work cannot be done alone. Global Cleveland has spent more than a decade building equitable relationships and partnerships across the region, the state and the nation, and the world to expand access to newcomers and to help them achieve economic success. They collaborate with nonprofits, city builders, foundations, residents, and companies, and all of you to support and integrate newcomers. They wouldn't be here today without all of the full support of our local and state governments, which recognize that immigration is economic development.
To our county executive and our senator, we're lucky to be represented by so many great individuals in public service, and so many of them are here in this room today. We are very fortunate, and we're happy to be here to welcome you to our annual meeting. Today is an important day, and it's one where this morning I was feeling a little bit of anxiety, and I reminded myself that really what I should be feeling is the joy, and that joy is reflected in the people who are here and the people who are making so much of a difference in the work that we do. My name is Joe Simperman. I'm the president of Global Cleveland, and I want to thank our board member, Norm Steiner, for first of all helping us kick off today, secondly, for Medical Mutual's ongoing support, and thirdly, for just being a great board member. Many of you know nonprofit work is hard, and it takes a lot of work and work behind the scenes that you don't get a lot of credit for. And people like Norm and the other members of our board do that work every day. And I know I speak on behalf of our staff and the people we serve that we couldn't do it without our great board. So if you could please just give another round of applause for our fantastic board, and especially Norm. Thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't mention our other wonderful sponsors this year as well. Of course, WageLock, Chuck and Alana Ratner, Cuyahoga Community College, Huntington Bank, Margot and Michael Murphy Family Fund, RPM, Cleveland Guardians, they're going to win it all next year. Paul Dolan, we feel you, we see you. Tom and Joni Adler, Welcome House Inc., Tony, thank you, Tony Thomas. Team Neo, Mark Owens, we're so grateful to you. Dave's Supermarket, always Dave's, and John Carroll University, who's got their wonderful office here today, and Sister Catherine Feely is here. We're so grateful. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you. We also, of course, want to thank the Cuyahoga County Public Library, in whose house we sit. This library has been doing things for international newcomers since the day the doors opened, from citizenship classes to making people feel welcome. There are a few places in our community that serve as such strong gateways of welcome to international immigrants, and the Cuyahoga County Library embodies that, and it's through leaders like Tracy Strobel and her team that does it, and we're so grateful to them for hosting us this morning here in the great city of Parma, at the Parma Snow Ranch. This library is and always been a partner of ours, and we're so grateful for them to be that resource. 2022, a year of surprises, challenges, heartache, joy, and ultimately success for our international community, and so much of it more to come. In February, when it became very clear that the Cleveland needed to prepare for our Ukrainian sisters and brothers, our organization, through your support, got to work. Whether it was grocery store gift cards, helping people get from the airport to their homes, grandparents and children who were arriving, or even caring for postnatal care for a Ukrainian mother who had just given birth weeks after arriving here in Cleveland after fleeing Ukraine. These are important things. These are personal things. These are things that are done person to person. And as we work toward changing policy and an effort in terms of making immigrants more welcome, we also have to realize the brass tacks of this work. Here in Parma, with the leadership of people like Mayor DeGeter and so many Ukrainian leaders around our community, we were able to host and resource a legal clinic which saw more than 300 people from Ukraine seeking resources and legal help for their next steps, and the translators that needed to come with that. And just this week, thanks to an incredible, generous donor who heard about Global Cleveland on NPR, we were able to move a Ukrainian family into a beautiful home that was donated and will serve as a safe place to land for many families to come. And I want to thank Mr. Eric Engelke, who's here from Engelke Construction, Father Scott from St. Ambrose Church, for being such Marines on the ground when it comes to resettling people. We couldn't do it without you. This spring, thank you. Cheers. This spring, Global Cleveland was able to work very closely with our leaders in Cuyahoga County government, both the administration, the executive, and the council. And they released the first ever in the history of Cuyahoga County's existence, a $1 million request for proposal for refugee-serving organizations in Northeast Ohio. The first ever. Under the extraordinary leadership of County Executive Budish, who we heard from, but also people like Economic Development Officer Paul Herdig and Chief Matt Carroll, where are you? You, a wonderful board member, who heard us as we were talking about the importance of welcoming people, said, let's put our money where our mouth is. This initiative resulted in our partner organizations, Refugee Response and Legal Aid Society, receiving substantial funding for the first time from your county government to support our rapidly growing international community and setting the pace and the example for other governments. And it couldn't happen with people like Matt and Armin and Paul. And this summer, in support of our workforce development goals, Global Cleveland published our Here Are the Workers, in response to so much work that GCP is doing, so much work that Team Neo is doing, and so much work that Jobs Ohio is doing, which we're all experiencing, which is more work than people to man the workstations. The Here Are the Workers report educates and advocates for the inclusion of immigrants in our workforce, and we've been lucky to bring on new staff members to help us achieve our goal to get more international workers hired here in Cleveland and Northeast Ohio than ever before. And I'm very proud that you are sitting with an organization that is the only one of its kind in Ohio for a program called the Global Entrepreneur in Residence Program, the first of its kind here in the great state, which serves the entire region by providing H-1B visas beyond the lottery, beyond the cap, to immigrant entrepreneurs. helping them permanently settle their company in Northeast Ohio. Not someone stealing a company from Independence or Indiana or even India, but somebody who conceives of a company and hires people. As one example, one of our individuals that is participating in this currently has 24 people employed in the company that he created. 22 of those individuals were born and raised in the city of Cleveland. The idea that immigrants are bringing jobs to the table, are making things happen, is only possible because of each and every one of you in this room and the great leadership of the people who are running our Global Entrepreneur in Residence program. We are so thankful for so many of our partners, but specifically Dr. John Holcomb in Cleveland State University for partnering with us, as well as Kerry Carpenter and Huntington Bank in supporting the launch of this exciting transformative program. We see what's happening in other states. We want Ohio to be competitive, and we're on our way to being that and what we need to do. And finally, we welcomed our third cohort of our Global Rising Professional Development Program, some of those individuals who are here with us today. With over 15 members from 15 different nations, this program develops and enhances leadership skills, provides networking opportunities and connections to leaders in the Cleveland workforce, and creates and grows a community of international professionals, bringing diversity and culture to our city. Basically, what it does is it takes the power that each one of us has that we don't even realize, the connections in our phones, and says to our immigrant, international newcomers, this is for you. Let's integrate more quickly and make our networking happen. And I'm so grateful to the fellows who are here. You're an inspiration to each of us every day. And we cannot wait to say when we're watching the news in a few years, we know them. These are just a few of the achievements that we've been able to accomplish. I'm especially proud of the work of our fantastic staff, our board, our volunteers, and the partners that we collaborate with every day. All of you have done everything to ensure that our international newcomers are not only welcomed, but truly made to feel a part of our family and our community. This is a part of our program now where we get to some board business and leadership transition. And as you can see, there is so much to celebrate, and we are so filled with joy. But the end of the year is often marked by a time of transition. In Norway, the custom between December 25th and December 31st is a period called Ramjul, and it means half holy. And it's the sense of joy of the year, but the anxiety of what's to come. And as you can see in this video, that we're welcoming new board members, which we're so joyful for. But we're saying goodbye to some that have served us faithfully for years, including David Leopold, Tom Snowberger, Margaret Wong, and Orrin Baratz. Orrin is a founding board member. He's been instrumental in the creation of our organization. We couldn't do this work without Orrin. And I just want to say, before we recognize him, that we are so appreciative to him. And I think Orrin is one of the people who is on his way here, and he's going to be with us shortly. So as we're going to be waiting for him, I also want to take a second, and I want to say that we are so thrilled that we have a new incoming board chairperson, but we're also feeling something right now of sadness that David Fleshler is going to be stepping down. David has been our board chair for 8 years, and he's been someone who has led us through so much growth and so much change. What a wonderful tribute. David, if you could please come forward now, we'd like to ask you to come up on stage and accept a small gift from us and a few words from you as we appreciate you and welcome you with some thunderous applause.
It's a little hard to follow what Albert just said. It's such beautiful words, and he's such a leader in our community. To have him say that about me is really more than touching. When I began my chairmanship 8 years ago, I guess I had 3 sort of overriding goals. One was that we would find a visionary leader of Global Cleveland to take us forward. A second, that we would be in good, maybe great financial condition as we move forward. And a third, and obviously the most important, is that we would put immigrants bring them to Cleveland, connect them in a way that they hadn't been connected. And more than that, try to make sure that immigrants, refugees, people from around the world really became part of our community. And that Global Cleveland was no longer an organization, although it clearly would continue to be an organization, but Global Cleveland would be part of all of us, global with a small g, and we would truly become a Global Cleveland. And as I leave now, I'm proud to say that I think we've accomplished all of those. The thing that I would dwell on, though, is that an organization isn't able to move forward unless it really does have that visionary leader. And as we saw in the video, the kinds of things that Global Cleveland is doing, we're only doing because of Joe Cimberman and his leadership. Joe has been a true, passionate leader for our international community, and none of this work could be done without him. He has also recruited a remarkable staff that many of you have worked with. So I'd like to ask Joe to come out and to be recognized as really the inspiration for all that we're doing here today. And before I end, I'd like to just recognize 3 or 4 people. It's always dangerous because you're not then recognizing others. But these are people who have put their heart and soul into this organization. The first, I don't think he's arrived yet, but he will be recognized, is Oren Baratz, who really was a founder. Oh, he has arrived, Oren. Oren was the founder and in many ways inspiration from the Jewish Federation for this organization. He's leaving our board now, but he leaves an indelible mark here. And I really consider Oren both an inspiration and a brother in the work that he's done. He during the time that Global Cleveland was going through difficulties, Oren was at the offices of Global Cleveland probably 20 hours a week, making sure that we got through what we needed to get through. Oren is also the inspirational founder of the Global Rising Program. Oren, thank you for all that you've done. Two other people that have been truly backstays on the board. One is Judge Dan Polster, who has been there since the beginning. His steady leadership has brought us to the point that we are today. Dan, thank you for all that you've done. And the other, who I also consider like a brother, is Keith Libman. Is Keith still here? Apparently Keith had to go. But Keith, some of you know, has been our longtime head of finance. And it's Keith's work, in many ways, that has brought us from a place where we had to worry about payroll on a month-to-month basis to a time when we can really think about what the next stage is, because we have the kind of funding that we need to have. And finally, and you saw it in the film, is Albert, who needs no other name but Albert. Albert not only was the founder and inspiration for Global Cleveland, but he's been the one that has helped us make sure that we could survive for all these years. And lastly, I couldn't get off the stage without thanking my wife, Carla Tricarci, who's here. Carla, some of you may know, is not only a lawyer, but is a huge civic activist. Joe, I think that you would say that when Global Cleveland has some issue that it's dealing with and needs legal help, Carla is the first one to stand up. So Carla, thank you for everything you've done. I love you.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Joe. I'm honored to be here today with all of you to accept the position of board chair for Global Cleveland. I will say, though, that I'm not committing for 8 years. I just want to be clear. I did retire about 18 months ago from my role at DCA, so I'm though honored to take the position and to work closely with the board and with my immediate past chair, David. I asked David to stay obviously involved with us, but looking forward to that. As an immigrant myself, I migrated to Cleveland in 1956 as a 2-year-old, and Judge Polster, I went through the naturalization ceremony in 1963 as a 10-year-old. Global Cleveland is close to my heart. I've been a board member since 2020, and at that time I've witnessed firsthand how Global Cleveland has grown and evolved, and how many lives have been impacted by the work that this small but mighty team achieves every day. I'm so lucky to have known Joe Zipperman, who's back there behind the screen. But Joe and I have collaborated for many years. In many ways, he was my partner for nearly 18 years serving on Cleveland City Council as we crafted what became downtown Cleveland. And again, we work closely, and we welcome the opportunity to again work closely with Joe and the entire team here at Global Cleveland. And I recognize the success that he's achieved, and I obviously want to work with him to achieve more for Global Cleveland and his community. But I also understand the passion he brings to this position and to this community. My role today is really to share with you that we have added 6 new board members to our board of directors this year to help Joe, the staff, and the board continue to drive towards success. And let me introduce them to you. They are Aaron Brown, attorney with Brown Immigration, the Honorable Annette Blackwell, Mayor of the City of Maple Heights, Abby Levin, Senior Vice President of Operations for the Jewish Federation of Cleveland, Ryan Fuente, Chief of Governmental Affairs Officer for the City of Cleveland, Kevin Smith, Associate Dean, Case Weatherhead School of Management, and Clifton Williams III, Director of Public Affairs at the Taft Law Firm. Please join me in a round of applause for all these people. These outstanding individuals join the board of an organization dedicated to enhancing the economic success and prosperity of all international newcomers. This includes advocating for inclusion and social justice, making language access widely available, creating programming to expand workforce development initiatives, and civically engaging newcomers in their new home here in Greater Cleveland. Global Cleveland is the only organization in our region doing this critical work, but it's doing this with all of you, all of our stakeholders, all of our partners. So we could not do it without you, and we thank you for your commitment to Global Cleveland's mission as well. As board chair, I want to thank you for your collaboration and your support, and I look forward to working with all of you more closely. I look forward to working with the staff. I look forward to working with Joe in terms of the continuing work of Global Cleveland and an opportunity to bring even more newcomers. I was talking to Paul Dolan a little bit earlier. Immigration and bringing more people to this region is really a critical way for us to grow Cleveland. And in many ways, it represents an outstanding opportunity for us. And maybe we're at an inflection point at a national level where we can take advantage of what's occurring nationally as well as internationally and bring more and more people to Cleveland and ultimately bring their families here, bring their cousins here, their nephews here, and repeat the story of the Marinucci family, because that's how I got here. I got here because my uncle was here before us, and he arranged for my dad to get a job here in Cleveland. He brought his family here, and ultimately we were able to have a successful life journey here in Cleveland. And that's what we'd like to see for many, many immigrants in the years to come. So thank you all, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. And again, congratulations, David.
As we were saying a little bit earlier, we'd like to recognize Mr. Oren Baratz. Oren, please come forward. I've known Oren since I was able to work here at Global Cleveland. And Oren is somebody who is known to so many people in our community, as somebody who's worked at the Jewish Community Federation. He actually hosted our organization before it had a name in his office at his desk. That is how origin story Oren is to our organization. I will say something else. I've gotten to know Oren a little bit over the years. He is a man of grave seriousness. But he's serious about loving people, he's serious about helping people, and he's serious about putting his heart out there. Things that I will not be able to say for some time, but what he did for our community from Afghanistan and for people in Ukraine, that is something where I tell my kids, this is a man of greatness. We get to work with him, and we call him our friend. And so today what we'd like to do is remind you all of the story. When we did Global Rising, we wanted phenomenal candidates, and we have them. They're beautiful people. But Oren said it doesn't mean, he used a word, it doesn't mean blank unless you have somebody mentoring them. And Oren made us find mentors for every Global Rising person, and it is the best part of the program. And so it gives me great honor to not only thank Oren, but every year in his name, we will be administering the Oren Baratz Mentor of the Year Award for a person who has mentored thousands of people. Oren, we are so lucky to know you. We love you.
Wow, I'm touched. I'm really touched. It's touching from so many aspects, and it's touching to see so many people who I got to know because of Global Cleveland, and so many circles which opened into my life. And first of all, the first circle is David and Carla. And David is actually part of the reason I'm here in Cleveland. I arrived 18 years ago, and David and Steve Hoffman are the actual people who are responsible that I'm here. So that's kind of the first circle. I was fortunate to be around with Beju and some other people who are not here, and Abby was joining the board in Global Cleveland's day 0-5. Because Albert and Steve were the ones who kind of envisioned Global Cleveland, and then Abby and myself and Diane Gross from Federation were assigned to begin thinking what Global Cleveland is. And I even remember the first meeting at Cafe Arabica at Fairmont Circle with Becky Gaylor, who actually wrote the first white paper of beginning to think what Global Cleveland will be. And I have to say that being involved in this great initiative from the beginning, it's like a baby, a new baby which is born, to seeing the ups and downs, and we had some downs. David mentioned a couple of them, and to see where Global Cleveland is today, it's just so special. Another thing I would like to mention is being involved with Global Cleveland was actually the first interaction that I had with the community at large, not only with the Jewish community. And that interaction and all the relationships, and most importantly, friendships that were created, and many of them here around the table, Beju and others, it's just so special. And last thing I want to say, it's so great to see what Global Cleveland is today. And I don't have enough words to say how unique the staff is, and Joe has become a very, very dear friend of mine. So thank you very much, and all the best. And Joe, all the best to you too. And David, thank you for everything.